In the mid-1980s, California's sprawling suburbs operated under a firm assumption of absolute security. Neighborhoods were vast, brightly lit, and defined by trusting culture. During the stifling summer months, standard practice dictated how families cooled their homes. Residents routinely went to sleep with doors unlocked and ground-floor windows left completely open. That trusting environment shifted when an unidentified attacker utilized the cover of darkness. He slipped through those wide-open windows, targeting vulnerable, sleeping households. The contrast fractured the reality of Los Angeles. The carefree daytime gave way to immediate terror the moment the neon signs flickered on. The defining characteristic of California living, its open, relaxed lifestyle, had been turned directly against the people. Their comfort was now their greatest vulnerability. Law enforcement quickly realized they were facing an anomaly. The attacker exhibited zero traditional patterns and operated without a predictable modus operandi. This map tracks the confirmed attacks, revealing his chaotic methodology. Striking wealthy and working-class neighborhoods alike, he left no geographic cluster. Profilers rely on patterns, but this jagged, overlapping timeline offered no logical sequence to predict his next move. The unpredictability engineered mass panic. Citizens barricaded themselves indoors. Hardware stores sold out of deadbolts, and window latches within hours. Demand for guard dogs surged, and firearm sales skyrocketed as residents prepared to defend. Forced into a corner, police strategy became entirely reactive. Patrol units scrambled from scene to scene. They set up physical barriers and blockades only after the damage was done. The fear stemmed from a stark realization. Institutions built to protect society could no longer guarantee safety. Behind the scenes, the investigation was bogged down by the analog reality of 1980s police work. Detectives operated in cluttered rooms, buried under physical files and operating on typewriters, trying to connect disparate pieces of a massive puzzle. Progress came through the tedious accumulation of minute physical evidence. Investigators isolated a highly unique Avia shoe print left in the dirt outside a victim's home. Shortly after, they tracked down an orange Toyota station wagon abandoned by the suspect. Inside that stolen vehicle, crime scene technicians processed the interior for physical traces. On the rearview mirror, they lifted a single clear partial fingerprint. Yet this evidence immediately hit an institutional bottleneck. To find a match, detectives would have to manually compare this single print against millions of physical paper records stored in Los Angeles and Sacramento. That process would require years of manual labor. The solution required deploying a piece of new digital infrastructure, the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS. Los Angeles had just acquired the technology. This visualization shows how AFIS functioned. Instead of human eyes straining over paper, the digital system rapidly cross-referenced the unique ridge patterns of the recovered print against thousands of localized digital records in minutes. The machine calculated the probabilities, and the human detectives verified the result. The integration of old-fashioned crime scene collection and digital processing stripped the phantom of his anonymity. They had a name, Richard Ramirez. Armed with an identity, investigators faced a critical strategic dilemma. They could keep the name classified to track Ramirez without alerting him, or they could risk losing him entirely by going to the public. Law enforcement chose to break standard investigative protocol. They decided to intentionally release his name, his face, and his criminal history directly to the media. A media blitz followed. Ramirez's stark mugshot dominated every television broadcast and was plastered across the front page of every newspaper in the state. On August 31, 1985, Ramirez boarded a bus in Arizona and returned to Los Angeles. He was unaware that during his short trip, he had become the most recognizable man in the state. He stepped into an East Los Angeles neighborhood, walked past the local storefronts and murals, and into a convenience store. Within seconds, residents recognized the face they had seen on every television screen. He realized the public was no longer hiding from him. They were pointing at him. They were actively hunting him. He sprinted into the neighborhood, trying to steal a car to escape. The neighborhood residents did not wait for the police. They chased him down an alleyway. They cornered him and physically subdued him in the middle of the street. Standard arrests follow a controlled procedure. This was a chaotic, citizen-led capture. When patrol cars finally arrived on the scene, the officers had to fight through the crowd just to pull the killer to safety and prevent the mob from harming him further. The public, who had spent a summer paralyzed as his victims, became the literal instrument of his capture. The capture forced immediate institutional updates. Police jurisdictions across California acknowledged their communication failures and mandated interagency information sharing to prevent future blind spots. The case also provided validation for forensic digital processing. AETHIS transitioned rapidly from a localized experimental tool into a national standard for criminal investigations. But the impact extended beyond technology. After months of lived-in fear, the immediate crushing weight of the nighttime threat began to lift, and the specific habits of the previous summer, the barricaded doors and the constant vigilance, slowly receded. The pursuit started as a battle against a nameless phantom, but it ended when a single neighborhood in East Los Angeles chose to act. In the end, the solution didn't come from a boardroom or a lab, it came from the pavement.